What is going on, everybody? Non here, and it's time for this week's update in distribution for pretty much every game. So let's hit it real quick, and I want to touch on Pokemon last, but what's super interesting, and I'll touch on this first, and then we'll go through the detail later, is I got my first allocations, and there have been rumors of 151 tins and Prismatic Evolutions tins coming to distribution. I did get my first allocation for those on Friday, and it's from one of my smaller distributors. Yeah, it's an okay amount, but it's definitely coming, and it is definitely here. So moving on to One Piece OP13 Wave 2. Looks like it's hitting distribution this week. So I would imagine that is going to get turned relatively quickly. I know one of the two distributors finalized my allocation on Friday. The other has not, but I would imagine that's going to come out here relatively quickly. So moving on, where do we want to start? Gundam. Just briefly, it looks like they did open orders for GDO 4, I believe. Or maybe. No, that was a while ago. Because these 2 days. Well, never mind. ST 1 through 5 and GDO 2 is supposedly being reprinted here at some point in early Q1. I still don't have any definitive date. I have not heard anything about a reprint for GDO 1, but for whatever reason, boxes keep showing up on TCG Player. Not sure where they're coming from because there is a decent amount of sell-through. So, yeah, have that, think of it or use that information for what you will. Riftbound. So I put out a video on Friday, a brief video, because it's been super busy. We had 6,091 items we had to pick for TCG Player sales over Cyber Weekend, which is an absolutely insane amount of items to pull and pick for two of us. Next time, I will definitely add a few other folks to the process. And then we obviously had our own sales, which were 500 orders. Then we go right into Chocobo bundles that I still haven't gotten all of them from distribution. I should get the rest of them on Monday. And then we go into Wave 2 Pokemon. But Riftbound. So there was a letter that came out to distribution on Friday from UVS, and it basically said, look, we tried to get them to you guys in time to get to LGSs in time for Christmas. It's not going to happen. Most likely they will make it to distribution not next week, but the week after. And then they will be shipped to LGSs the week between Christmas and New Year's or the first week of January. Now, I do not know how much, what the volume is going to be yet, but I would imagine it is going to be a reasonable amount. Again, it's been a couple months, so I'm guessing they're pushing it out, and it'll be interesting to see if the cut quality on the cards looks like a 5-year-old chewed on the edges. But we'll see. So moving on, Spirit Forged. I did get my OP allocation for this a couple weeks ago. I believe I mentioned it on here. So right now, all the distributors know how much they're getting. It looks like it's approximately on par with the first wave of Origins. So no meaningful change there. The third set, this is the May set. Was it Unleashed? Unleashed, well, yeah, Unleashed. These went up for order last week. Again, May set. So let's see. Other than that, let's move on. Sorcery. So Gothic released this past week. The boxes are sitting around $130 on TCG Player. Not much else to see here. Distribution. The distribution price on these is about $100 a box. Southern's a little bit less. PhD's a little bit more. But with the MSRP at $166, nobody's paying that for an indie game. For one, it doesn't matter how cool the game is. If you like it, if you don't, nobody's paying that. It's insane. But with the boxes sitting around $130 on TCG Player, there's no money in the game. So this is the same situation that happened with Arthurian Legends. If you're a store and you want to dabble in this, you have no financial incentive to do so. As such, it's in an absolute standstill / on life support, in my opinion. And again, the product looks like it's cool, but if games can't make money, they're not going to carry it. Like, full stop. End of conversation. Moving on. Weiss, Nikki. The total supply of Nikki boxes is just getting close to 1,900 on TCG Player. There is one seller out of Florida, Sushu, who has 1,500 listed, which means that the total number of boxes is about 30 days of supply to a little bit less than that. So Nikki is going to zoom here shortly. Azure Lane is churning through, obviously not quite there yet. So it's still in the mid to upper 40s. But what I do want to mention is, let's see. Okay, yeah, free run. So the free run reprint is shipping this week coming up. It looks like TCG Player did not create a second SKU as of yet. So the second is being listed as with the first edition. So it's really, really confusing. But again, this was severely underordered, and there is a new series coming out in January. I'm going to offer it to my subs, but quite honestly, I don't even want to think about selling it anytime soon, because when the show hits for Netflix, there's going to be a ton of hype and things are going to go nuts. Other than that, there really aren't a whole lot of Weiss sets that are interesting, if you will. They did take orders for a second wave of Azure Lane. I don't think many people ordered it, quite honestly, because everything was a little upside down. So moving to Magic. So Avatar's out. Some of the products are doing well. Some of the products are doing not so well. There was a mad dump of stores to sell. Jumpstart, for example. There is a second wave of collector boxes coming this week. It may or may not be the entity whose website this is, but there is another wave coming. These are presumably what was set aside for Amazon, but since the price tanked below MSRP, it's coming through distribution. Also, for those of you who haven't paid attention, the dumps on Amazon are starting to get crazier and crazier as Hasbro is desperate to get to the revenue numbers for Q4. So if you're looking to get deals and you don't have distribution access, or you do, and you're looking for something like Duskborn Collect or Commander decks that distribution doesn't have, it's not a bad place to be. Other than that, look, the set seems to be okay. You know, some of the cards are moving in the right direction. Players seem to be liking to play the game or play the set. So we'll see. Final Fantasy Holiday Chocobo bundles came out. You know, the product looks good. The fact that there's no serialized cards in the product, at least as of right now, I've never seen them hide anything and have it discovered after the fact. Is severely disappointing. I think they had a golden opportunity to create something here that was really, really nice. And again, the Chocobo track bundles are cool. The only reason I've seen them, other than on videos, is I ordered 4 from Amazon and I totally forgot. Probably 6 weeks ago, they showed up today. And my 5-year-old decided he was going to rip one to shreds when I wasn't paying attention. So there was no saving the patient. So, you know, we ripped it apart, and it's okay. I mean, there's probably $100 to $120 worth of cards in there, which is MSRP. But I do think with these, Amazon is going to continue to dump and dump and dump and dump, because again, they have to hit the quarter. And this is one of the products that they've mentioned in their earnings calls as being one of the linchpins for the quarter. Moving on to Lorman, I mean, shit. Once the holidays are over, this thing's like 2.5 weeks away. So it's time to pay attention to this, which means Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles orders are going to be coming due. Now, my personal strategy is, given the fact that Spider-Man was a mess, Avatar was okay, Lorman is what it is. I think some of the stores are going to soften up. I think with the overall economy, the weakness just around this time of year, I know for a fact there's some stores that are struggling. I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is going to be significantly underordered. And as much as I think it's going to not be a great set, now is the time to put the foot on the gas, order as much as you can, because as we go into Marvel and The Hobbit, as we've all seen this movie before, you have a couple stinkers, and it takes about 9 months for Hasbro to swing the pendulum in the other direction. And all of a sudden, you have a home run, and you can do something here with distribution access that other stores, other competitors, other accounts are not doing, and that's starting to buy things that people are starting to pull back on. That being said, there is still no word on murders, commander decks. By the way, the EV of those is really, really high compared to what they're selling for in TCG Player, which shocked me a little bit. And it's probably just because it's Karlov and Lord of the Rings. Both of those are supposed to come out in December. I have not talked to anybody who has a definitive purchase order yet or shipping date from WotC. So that means they're probably either going to come the week before Christmas or after the new year into January. In addition, we have Lord of the Rings set boxes coming in January. We have LCI set boxes and Wilds of Eldraine set boxes coming in February. One of the beauties of the way that Magic is reprinting things now is the strategy from 2 years ago of being able to buy Pokemon cheaply as it rotates out. You can now do the same with these old set boxes, such as Lord of the Rings, Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and Wilds of Eldraine as they rotate out, and you will have an opportunity to put together a large position, multiple cases, boxes, whatever you want. So that is really an opportunity that the reprint strategy from Hasbro has created that really wasn't there before. And then obviously we're going to get Edge of Fraternities, we're going to get Bloomborough play boxes, all kinds of fun things. They're going to saturate the market, and distribution is going to start squealing even more because they are already running out of space because of all of the commander decks. It is only going to get worse. So moving on to, last but not least, everybody's favorite, the Pokemons. So, as I mentioned, and there's a lot of news on this one, I received my first allocations for 151 mini tins displays and Prismatic Evolutions mini tin displays on Friday. Again, there's 10, I believe there's 10 tins in 151, only 8 tins in Prismatic Evolutions. I don't know why they're coming out with tins. I'm guessing they just have the packaging. They're trying to use it and push it out. No different than the Great Tusk Walmart exclusive. I think they put that together. Obviously, they printed the promos new because they had the stamp on, but I'm guessing they just had a couple wheelbarrows, I'm being facetious, of Paldean Fates packs that they were trying to get out to the public, because we also saw booster bundles. We saw 3-pack tech stickers a couple months ago through distribution. So they're certainly pushing some product out there, just not in massive volume to dump the market. But yeah, 151, I assume I'm going to get those from everybody across the board. I believe there's been some confirmation, again, quote unquote, that it's going to big box stores as well. But we haven't seen it yet. So moving on to Mega Evolutions 2. So Mega Evolutions 2 Wave 2 has started to ship. Now, there's a caveat to that. The booster boxes and the Elite Trainer boxes have started to ship. The booster bundles and the 3-pack blisters have not shipped yet. So not only do our poor friends at distribution have to spend additional funds to ship product twice with Wave 1 and Wave 2, they now have to ship twice within the second wave because the stuff's not coming on time. In addition, the Mega Charizard X EX Ultra Premium Collection is not going through the Pokemon Company. I'm told it is coming directly from the printer / manufacturer. So no distributor, as far as I've spoken to, knows when these are going to ship or when they're going to get them. By noon tomorrow, that could change. They could show up on the dock. We just don't know. So at some point, those are going to come as well. The Mega Venusaur, Mega Kangaskhan boxes, the Fall Collector's chests all showed up. I'm still missing the Prismatic Premium Figure Collection from one distributor. which is mind-blowing at this point, and a bunch of Mewtwo Rocket League decks. Collector's chests have all shipped. But the one thing I do want to mention, and I think I mentioned this last week, we have the Charizard tins that just came out. Make sure you get your order in for those. The Pokemon Day items, I think, have already passed. If you look here, the order due date's today, so I should actually go through all my orders and make sure they're posted, just because you never know. But with Ascended Heroes, it is going to be another wave release, and I've received allocations from 3 distributors / I've had discussions about just how much they're getting in general, and they're getting approximately 2 to 2.25x just ETBs. I just asked about ETBs for Benchmark, more than what they got for Destin, for Mega 1, for Mega 2, for Black and White combined across the 2 SKUs. So there is a lot more product of this coming out. Now, granted, it is a much more delayed release schedule. So, again, presumably, they're delaying rolling this out because they're obviously using print capacity for other items. So that's all I got for this week. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and hopefully you all had a great weekend.